The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
7 days.
I am Dracula.
We have such sights to show you. Boy!
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
I am the eater of worlds and of children.
What's in the fucking box?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
One by one, we will take you.
Never get out of bed again!
You gotta be fucking kidding.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, just a hair past 7 p.m. Central Time, and it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror Podcast, the official podcast of apocalypse bunkers everywhere. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this live right here on YouTube every single preceding Wednesday. So come, hang out with us in the live chat, see all the craziness that goes on before it hits the editing room. We'd love to see you. This week, we are looking back at select horror films released May 26th, through June 1st. Thank you all so much for joining us for what will surely be a bloody good time. I am JL. Yes, I know, I am running a little bit late. So I got kind of delayed. I do apologize, but I hope you guys held down the live chat while I was gone for like less than 5 minutes, because the intro itself is like almost a minute. So it was like whatever. It's like 7:07 now, but I hope you are all having a fantastic night. All right. Ooh, I'm looking at my beard in the I'm looking at my beard. My beard's looking a little seaworthy. It was like I didn't comb it out. So, but I hope you all are doing fantastic. But before we get started, let's make sure we get that Patreon banner up. There's the amazing names of all those people that help us to make the show possible. So we do appreciate your support. Thank you very, very much. You guys rock. Let's see who we have in the live chat tonight. Yes, it does appear that I'm going to be holding down the fort tonight by myself, but it's all good because the boys are busy, and I know Aaron just wasn't feeling good. I think he had to go through a medication change, which I know a lot of people out there are going to be. You're familiar with that when they change up your medication and they try to get you on something new. You can totally throw all your shit off. So, I hope you're feeling better, Aaron. We may see him in the live chat. He may pop by, but I hope they're doing well. I hope he's doing well. Definitely. Absolutely. See who we have here in the chat tonight. We got Raven Darkstar's here. Good to see you, Raven. Casey Cooper as well. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Travis Brown is in the house this evening, y'all. Just finished spending Frightmare with my girlfriend, and we had a fun time. Cannot wait to talk about Frankenhooker. Got a lot of excitement about Frankenhooker tonight. Frank Henenlotter is a popular filmmaker amongst horror fans. And I am looking for. I love talking about any one of his films because we talked about Basket Case, so like a couple of seasons back. So I love it whenever he comes up. Him and Abel Ferrara are really good, like Driller Killer and shit like that. But Frankenhooker, been looking forward to talking about this one for a while now. Let me see, who else do we have here? I was slightly delayed. I had to run an errand real quick before the show, and I was hoping I could make it back in time, but I got delayed, but now I'm here and all is good. So thank you for your patience with me. Sarcasm is here, says Buenos noches, mis compañeros demonios. Good to see you, good sir. I hope you are doing well. Angel Rivera as well, says Travis Brown. Oh yeah, he's like, thanks. I hope you're doing well, Angel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Who else? Denova28. Holy shit, Denova28 is back in the house. Good to see you, Denova. I hope you are doing well, good sir. Let me see. Case Cooper says, is Aaron back? Will Eugene have Frankenhooker storyboards? Will we say there's Johnny? Probably not tonight. And some Eugene Frankenhooker storyboards would be absolutely hilarious. They really would. Jverse is here in spirit. Good to see you, Jverse. Been a minute. Glad you're doing well. Armageddon's Fire as well. Good day to you, sir. Yep. Good to see you, bud. I know I was running a little late. Armageddon's Fire says Wednesday. Oh crap, a day late. Yeah, always Wednesday. Always Wednesdays. Let's see who else. Left-handed Jedi. Oh yes, all by myself. Yeah, I don't want to get demonetized, but good to see you, Left-handed Jedi. Thank you so much for being here, bud. We do appreciate seeing you. Elizabeth S is also in the house. Haven't seen Elizabeth forever. I hope you're doing well, sweetheart. And Elizabeth has been a member of the Army of the Dead for 6 months. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. You rock. We do appreciate that support. It's been forever since we've seen you, but I hope all is well with you. Paracord Princess is here as well. Haven't seen you in a moment. Wow, we got a bunch of returning names tonight. This just must be the night, you know? Maybe it was the selection of films that we're talking about. I don't know. But Paracord Princess, good to see you. Says, howdy, when or where can we see the movie short about the diner? 11, it's 11 to 6. I promise you, soon. There's actually been some solid developments, you know, along the lines. But I can't talk about them yet. Even though Eugene is not here, Eugene has eyes everywhere. You know, he's like Marvel. He's like Disney. He's like constantly, you know, surveilling me to make sure I don't talk about shit I can't talk about. But I guarantee you, we will talk about it soon. Congratulations, Denova28 says he just got married. Congrats, dude, taking the vows. Well done, well done. It's all downhill from here, bud. I say this as a person who's been with my wife for 20 years, so welcome to the club. Oh yeah, it's nothing but fun, dude. It's nothing but fun from this point on. I swear to you, I promise you, it is nothing but fun. People talk about marriage like it's hard, like it's difficult. Like sometimes I hear people talk about it, or I see people talking about it online, like you know, like it's akin to a horror show. And I just honestly think that sometimes people jump the gun. You know, they jump the gun too early. They get, you know, they have blinders on and they make that big jump without really realizing the responsibility of it and what comes along. And sometimes people just aren't ready. But you know, when you are and you know and you've got it, it is literally a blast. The years will fly by and you won't even recognize it. Okay, 20 years with Angela, and it still feels like 10, maybe less. I don't know. I just you don't even feel it. Decades have gone by and you just don't even feel it, you know, because it's a blast. It is literally the most fun you can have. So that's my experience. That's been my experience. So, let's see. Who else do we have here? Armageddon's Fire has been a member of the Army of the Dead for 2 months. Thank you so much, Armageddon's Fire. You rock. And I think Left-handed Jedi says 2 ex-wives later. Such joy. I'm not saying that my experience is unique to me. It's obviously, you know, my unique experience, but that's been my experience. Is that it's been. I mean, obviously everybody's going to have their ups and downs, but the ups are always much higher and the downs are never as low as you think they are. Just, yeah, I guess I don't know what it is, but you know, 20 years, we must be doing something right. I have no idea. So, but congrats again to Nova28 on getting married. You rock. I hope you have an amazing honeymoon, sir. Yeah, go somewhere frightening. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Okay, Scuba Sister, you're saying you've gone numb. No, I've not gone numb. See, she and I, I've been with my wife for 20 years. We haven't been married 20 years. We've been together 20 years, but we've been like officially married for 10. So like this September will be kind of like our 20, because we got married the same month. Actually, technically, we got married the same week as our, like, you know, official relationship anniversary. So like that week is our week. So technically it's like in between September 12th and September 15th. So those days, like that's when we first initially was like, we are a couple, we are together, and we've been together ever since. That was back in 2003. So okay, yeah, that was 2003. Yeah, actually, so 20 coming up on 21 years. So yeah, but 21 years together and 20. I would say 11. It would be this September will be 11 years married and 21 years together. Because we were together for 10 years before we decided to finally tie the knot. And we lived together like 9 of those years. So because we got together and then, you know, it was just amazing. And we were young, poor college kids. And I think her lease was about to be up. And so we were like, why don't you just, you know, live with us? And I had a roommate at the time. So we brought her in. She was my girlfriend at the time. So the three of us were living together, and it just was that way. Then we just like carried on. You were good. We were good to go. So yeah, we were together 10 years and then got married, and it was very, very fast. We planned the wedding in like 2.5 months. So we I proposed in June, and then we got married in September. So like of that year of 2013. So like proposed June, got married September, which was an awesome experience, an amazing wedding. Unfortunately, with that short notice, we weren't able to get everybody who wanted to come because it was so quick, but it was an amazing deal. We stacked it out, had an open bar. It was an absolute blast. And then of course, it's just been an amazing journey from there. So yeah, here I am just rambling about my relationship. So. But yeah, absolute blast. I wish you all the absolute best. I really, really do. Oh, let's see. Tang Whistle CPM is here. It says, late but present. Good to see you, Tang. Appreciate you hanging out. Thank you so much. Angel Rivera says, I met my wife 25 years ago online. Been together since then, and we have been married for 18 years. Congrats. Congrats, man. That's amazing. I love hearing about long-term relationships that just make it, man. It really, I hear people so often talk about like challenges, like it's such a challenge and it's a constant, it's a sacrifice. I don't see that. I've never seen that, I never have. And I don't know, maybe I'm lucky, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I have no idea, or maybe I'm not, we're not as demanding of one another. I have no idea, but I've never once ever felt like anything I've done was a sacrifice, or anything that I've pushed aside or I've prioritized was a sacrifice, because it was never really a choice. It wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna have to sacrifice this in order to do this in concern to our relationship. That never crossed my mind. So it's always just kind of like, no, I'd rather do this because it's with her and it's for her, and then I can just do that later because that'll always be there, So this is me. Case Cooper says, this tangent brought to you by Cupid and Discord. Yes, absolutely. Sally Skellington, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you being here. That's true. Left-handed Jedi, some people grow together, others do grow apart. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And glad to have you back, DeNova. You rock. All right. Well, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. Some interesting things. First and foremost, and I want to get some people's opinions on this, so be sure to let me know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com what your thoughts on these things are. Because it recently came across the desk that in 2025, we have a bunch of stuff coming out. Unfortunately, it looks like, major studios or mainstream filmmaking is still very much on the reboot, prequel, sequel, reconstruction, retelling bandwagon. It doesn't look like that trend is going to end anytime soon, but we do have a bunch of stuff that is coming out in 2025. And so we don't have any trailers or anything to show anybody, but this just kind of came across in the news cycle. But big 2025 releases that are coming out include a I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. So a complete reboot of the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise, I guess, ignoring what Amazon tried to put out, because the Amazon series is absolute trash. Despite the fact that Amazon puts out really good shit like The Boys and Invincible, and they're behind some really fantastic shows. The I Know What You Did Last Summer series, not good. Really, really bad. So, but apparently we are getting an I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot in 2025. We are also going to see the 6th installment in Insidious. Oh, the new Fallout series, fantastic. But we are going to see the next installment, the 6th installment in the Insidious franchise. So Insidious 6 is slated for 2025. Thank you so much, Sarcasm, who gifted 5 memberships to the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. Very generous of you. We also have a sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's. So Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is slated for 2025, as well as Megan 2.0. So Megan's getting a sequel. Five Nights at Freddy's getting a sequel. Insidious is getting another entry in that franchise. We're also getting a sequel to Black Phone 2. So the one with Ethan Hawke, So we're getting a sequel to Black Phone 2. We're also getting a sequel to Fall. So Fall 2. The ones where the girls go up the tower and get stuck up there. So we're getting a sequel to Fall 2. And it's just, this is, I don't know. So, Raven Dark says, still rumors of BSG, Firefly, and SG-1 reboots. I don't know if the Firefly reboot will ever happen. That's an issue that comes down to Joss Whedon. Battlestar Galactica might be cool, although I don't think they're going to top what Sci-Fi Channel put out before Sci-Fi Channel, lost its mind. SG-1, I don't think they should touch. That's my personal opinion. I just don't think the SG-1 should be touched. But Firefly, that'll be difficult considering, Firefly be difficult considering Joss Whedon. And BSG, I don't even know if they could top, Come on, Edward James Olmos is Dama. Come on, what are you going to do? Denova28 says, Five Nights at Freddy's or Willy's Wonderland, which is better? Willy's Wonderland, 100%. Willy's Wonderland is the better of those two films. It absolutely is. Absolutely. Wrote it no less name, Gabba Gabba to you, sir. Says Megan is a prequel to Blade Runner. That's hilarious. But I see it. I see the connection you're making there. Joshua Lee is here. Good to see you, Joshua Lee. He says, evening, folks. Good to see you, Josh. Appreciate you hanging out. Lieutenant Jedi says, Fall 2. I've fallen and I can't get up. 2. That's hilarious. I like that. That's right, Angel Rivera. And the Munsters. Okay, so apparently, and this is from James Wan. So James Wan, I guess, I'm speculating here. James Wan apparently saw it, like, Rob Zombie's Munsters and was like, no. And so he's going to do it the way he did. So apparently we are getting a darker version of the Munsters reboot. Retell. I'm not 100% sure what I get, because is there really something to reboot? It's not a series. So I have no idea. But yeah, that did come across the wire as well, that James Wan is spearheading a dark version of the Munsters. So we never needed a dark version of the Addams Family, we don't need a hillbilly redneck psychopath version of the Beverly Hillbillies. So I don't know why we need a dark version of the Munsters. But, not to mention, yes, Wednesday season 2 is on the way as well, which I am looking forward to, even though I'm still kind of, half on, half off the Jenna Ortega train. I kind of am. Yeah. Just like I'm half on, half off the Sydney Sweeney train. Even though Immaculate was really good, I really enjoyed Immaculate. The thing that got me was the bulk of the work on that. The bulk of the act, like I would say, the bulk of the work in Immaculate was not on Sydney Sweeney, even though she was headlining. She basically headlined that movie. She was lead on that film. The bulk of the responsibility for the narrative wasn't on her. And so I've never liked it when a lead actor, or when any lead actor is, spearheading the film and is given the least amount of responsibility for, driving the narrative or providing exposition or providing some layer of connectivity to the audience. Everybody around Sydney Sweeney was fantastic. That entire supporting cast was amazing. And they helped to elevate her. But the responsibility was not on her to drive that film. And I just don't like that at all. I often felt the same way about Jenna Ortega until I saw Wednesday, until I saw the first season of Wednesday. And I felt that she knocked it out of the park. So, but I'm still kind of, because Scream 6, the shit that went down with the Scream franchise, and Scream 6 is kind of like, weak, not doing much, but that's just my personal opinion. Tang Whistle says, I love that she improvised all her dancing in that prom. Yeah, that was fantastic stuff. Yeah. She's a very talented actress, extremely talented. The question is about the work that she's getting, Wednesday is how you show your merit, Scream 6, not how you show your merit, especially when Melissa Barrera is pretty much in front of you taking all the scenes, where she's kind of like supporting as the sister, but yes, Tangent Take 2 brought to you by reboots, remakes, and sequels. Well, I gotta parse out the time, we can't just dive right in. But this is an interesting thing. And this is what I wanted y'all's opinions on. So of the reboots and stuff that I mentioned, Are there any that you're looking forward to? Any that you think are completely unnecessary? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know down in the comments below. Or if there's one particular one that we didn't mention, or maybe that the live chat mentioned that you are looking forward to, or one that you know about that we didn't mention, let us know. Love to hear what people's thoughts are, because we are deep in the requel, sequel, prequel, reconstitution, regurgitated, IPs in order to maximize profitability, to milk it like a cow until you get the last drop. But yeah, that's where we're at. And so we have a bunch, like a shit ton coming out in 2025. So let us know your thoughts on those ones, or ones that we maybe didn't mention. But I see Travis Brown's looking forward to Megan 2.0. Absolutely. Alien Romulus is looking really, really good. And we did show the trailer. We did show the trailer a few weeks ago when it first dropped. When it first dropped, that first teaser, we did drop that. We watched it, and everybody kind of flipped their lids. Eugene was freaking out. It was like, oh, face hugger action. It was fantastic. Jin Ju is here. Good to see you. It says the Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies might be a fun movie to make if you keep it to horror comedy. Absolutely. The Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies. Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies. That kind of rolls off the tongue, Cannibal Beverly Hillbillies. Beverly Hillbilly Cannibals. Beverly Hillbilly Cannibals, or Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies, or Cannibal Beverly Hillbillies. You wouldn't think so, but it's really important where the cannibal goes to maximize that kind of fun. Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies. The Beverly Cannibal Hillbillies. I could see that. Interesting. Devour 20 says that's wrong turn. That is true. That's wrong. But to set it in, take that premise and set it in fucking in Beverly Hills would be hilarious. I think that would be funny. So, Sir Kev says that must have happened on that one night I missed in the last 3 years. We did show the Romulus trailer. I promise, because it was an episode that Eugene was on because he freaked out. I know that. I remember that specifically. All right, so let us know anything coming out in 2025 you're excited about, or ones that you're not excited about, because I think in anticipation of it, I think these studios kind of released their 2025 slates. So they're as far as investor meeting goes, try and figure that stuff out. But yeah, bunch of stuff hitting. Man, we have got some interesting selections tonight. One fantastic selection, one selection not so much, and a couple of weird ones. But we're gonna dive into this. So that's Religious Redneck Cannibal Zombie Family. Oh yeah, that's Religious Redneck Cannibal Zombie Family. It's totally different species, Zombie Redneck Family. No. You chose zombies, right? So zombies, right? But this was Zombie Redneck Family. So it's a completely different species. Fucking love Cabin in the Woods. All right. Let's get this bad boy kicked off. I want to make sure that I have the live chat up. There we go. Get that all prepped for the everybody's favorite part of the show tonight. Genova 28 says, I keep hearing about a Christine remake. Don't put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. We do not need it. That one, perfect. Don't touch it. Doesn't need to be touched. Everybody was fantastic in that. And I do hear rumors about a second Constantine, about a Constantine sequel. So I guess we'll find out. All right, here we go. Our first film that we are going to dive into tonight, released May 26th, 2009, and it's called The Devil's Tomb. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
Hey there, who's this?
Right. rusty nail.
All my life, I've been a soldier of fortune. Did what I had to do to get the job done. And get my team out alive. Usually with the business end of a weapon. This mission shouldn't have been any different. But it turns out, some problems can't be solved with a bullet.
A seismic event of unknown origin hit the Shabaka research station 36 hours ago. All attempts to reestablish communication since then have failed.
Quake didn't knock out this comm system.
Can we call the chopper back?
Not in the storm, not without the uplink.
Nothing is to be removed from this station.
You don't need this hurricane of pain to dig a bunch of scientists out of the sand.
We're not here to rescue a bunch of scientists, just one.
What the hell happened here?
Wesley thought he could contain it. It's down here for a reason.
They're down here studying space, man.
It's not from space.
What am I looking at?
You are on the front line of the biggest battle mankind has ever fought.
This could be a chance to change things forever.
Yes, so that was the trailer for The Devil's Tomb, an action horror film directed by Jason Connery, written by Keith Cornish, and starring a massive cast, like a surprisingly massive cast. Cuba Gooding Jr., Ray Winstone, Taryn Manning, Ron Perlman, Valerie Cruz, Henry Rollins, Bill Moseley, Zach Ward, Frankie G. Remember Frankie G from Saw 2? And Jason London. So wow, I was shocked at the sheer cast of this thing, but that's what got me. I was kind of intrigued. It was like that this little movie came along that it was one of those classic those DVD films that you see come that you kind of spy. It's got like the main actor with the gun up on the. It was like like that. I was like, oh, Devil's Tomb looks military, looks action, whatever. But I nabbed a copy of it and decided to dive in. And I can honestly say I wasn't expecting fully what I got. The film itself, so to give people an idea, the film itself follows you'll recognize this premise like almost immediately. The film follows a group of special operations soldiers led by Cuba Gooding Jr., who have been tasked with going into this secret CIA base to basically to recover a scientist. It's a rescue mission to recover a scientist and get the hell out of there. That's pretty much the job. Turns out, obviously, as horror movies are wont to do, there is a hell of a lot more going on there, and there are secret experiments going on with these ancient creatures that these people believe are the Nephilim. And so when they break out, shit gets insane, and obviously, as Eugene would say, shit obviously hits the fan, and in some ways, it hits the fan in very, very gross ways. There's some particularly gross moments in that film. I will give it that. The practical effects are pretty on point. I for one, okay, so if anybody watching, and hey, Castellar, Daniel Garcia, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Appreciate you hanging out. So, a fair warning, if anybody has a problem with pustules and blisters and gooey shit like that, then this film may put you off your cookies a little bit. But if you don't, it's all practical effects. So you got to, it's like, whatever. Some people it doesn't bug. I know some people kind of turns their stomach, but be prepared for that because it gets pretty gooey because these are gooey monsters, gooey. Now, apparently the Nephilim are gooey, but yeah, the shit definitely hits the project. Or sorry, the shit definitely hits the fan. I saw Gehenna Project even though it was weird because they mispronounced Gehenna in it, which I thought was odd, and they don't correct it. But then again, these are soldiers, not expected to be the absolute best. But I will say this: this film is a masterclass in how to rip off everything. As far as the story goes, now, okay, so as far as the technical aspects of the film goes, the film is very, very formulaic. There's no like extreme, or no like inventive ways that the camera's utilized here. Sound is pretty much what you expect. Everything pops the way it is. There's no real major jump scares, which I thought was good. There's no real reliance on that because they're more reliant on the ooh factor of the monsters and the infection that's taking over people and turning them into monsters. They're more reliant on the ick factor than they are on trying to like pop stuff up in your face and go wah. So which I thought was decent. Especially for a 2000s film. So where this obviously, there's a reason why it's Eugene's like, absolute favorite decade. It's not. It really, really isn't. But if you pick up the plot, because there's nothing popping out, like despite the inordinate amount of money that went into this, because it technically is a military film. So you've got lots of military ordnance. You've got some really decent, I would say, true to life depictions of the military in that respect, as far as equipment goes. Helicopters, a lot of money went into this budget, like a surprise amount, which also would go to the cast because, given the number of people that are in this. So a number of recognizable names. So more than 10 people that you have news names you recognize. Lots of money went into the production value. Helicopters are not cheap, shit like that. Obviously the set designs I thought were quite impressive. So, because you got the underground bunker area like this, but it is a masterclass in how to rip off pretty much everything story-wise. Because you will recognize, obviously, it follows tropes like aliens. It follows pretty much any trope where the military comes in. A military group is tasked to go in and do a job. And the job is, supposed to be simple, but it turns out to be, all fucking, crazy and shit. Most of all, this thing ripped off Doom. Because Doom came out in 2005 or 2004 or 2005. This one came out in 2009. This is a straight up Doom ripoff. Only instead of, the evil demons or like the creatures of doom, like the Hell Knight and shit like that, this just goes straight biblical and references the Nephilim. And then it has a bunch of people running around. You got Bill Moseley walking around as a zombie, spouting, doing great character, just chewing the scenery with Bill Moseley delivery. Henry Rollins running around like a crazy person as a priest, as a crazy priest, and Cuba Gooding Jr. doing his absolute best, just kind of like demure lockdown. I'm the leader, never panicking, everybody else panicking. So, but nonetheless, you're going to get that sense. There's only, I would say, what I was honestly surprised by was Taryn Manning in this. Taryn Manning kind of got me. Everyone starts off the film everyone kind of kicks off the film very cliched, and they're kind of like, the military team has their members. Everybody's got the tropes. You got the military tropes. You got the specific. You look at Predator. The specific individuals that kind of like fill those character niches, and that's what you're always going to get. Taryn Manning kind of stood out a little bit once her character goes through the change. She comes in as the cliched kind of like religious medical officer who's there to like help people regardless of what's going on. You're not going to stop me from helping people because that's my calling. And then what happens to her, and she completely shifts. And I thought you rarely get to see Taryn Manning as a villain. And I thought that was impressive because she's actually really, really small. She's in stature, she's very small. So to see her have that kind of presence was rather impressive. I have to admit, I was interesting, very good. So there were some good usages of the talent here. I thought Ray Winstone was horribly underused. Henry Rollins did what Henry Rollins does. I thought Bill Moseley was underused because I would have loved a little bit more exploration of that part of it, of like whatever happened to him. I'd like a little bit because, I mean, he's always fantastic. Bring him in, give him some crazy lines, have him chew the scenery up, focus the camera on him, and let him just like run that shit. You know, there's not really, I would say there's not a lot of people that really drop the ball, but not everybody, because the cast is so big, not everybody gets the opportunity to really flex into their character. Jason London is underused as well. I mean, obviously Ray Winstone is as well. Ray Winstone's underused. Jason London is underused. Stephanie Jacobson got a little bit to work with, but not much. She's kind of two-dimensional. And Ron Perlman, I wish we'd gotten more. You know, aside from the recordings of him like being kind of like the driving Jeep, because basically he's the plot Jeep up until the end when all of a sudden he's the big bad. And then he's like, haha, I'm Ron Perlman, you know, I'm big and I'm scary. That's pretty much what it is. So, you know, as little as there's going on, there's some fascinating moments here. I just wish that there had been more members of the cast who had got the opportunity. I'm not going to say they didn't take it seriously. I'm going to say I wish that it made use of the cast that they had, because most of them, you know, are just they really are. You got like named actors who are getting relegated to cannon fodder, and it always sucks because they can always bring. You know, they have the talent. They can bring so much more. If you haven't seen Jason London working across from Robert Englund in Night World, that shit was amazing. Jason London showed his chops in that. He's got fucking talent. And to see him relegated as kind of like the one-off friend who winds up like chasing the girl he's in love with and then getting smoked, you know, that was just kind of like a waste. I felt that was a waste, you know. But nonetheless, it is, you know, it's a standard, you know, story that you're going to see, that you've seen 100 times before, and kind of just redone this with just changing up a little bits and pieces. And ultimately it's a bummer because so much money went into this. Looking into the production, not a lot of money was utilized on stock footage. Now, they localized the shooting areas. They had one area specifically outside that they shot in, and then they had the sets constructed. And I believe that they reused them from a couple of other productions, but they had the sets constructed and redone for this film. And then, of course, all of the ordnance, everybody that's involved in this. This is a very expensive, if you look at the details, this was a very expensive film. Shooting in underground enclosed areas is very, very difficult because it requires a tight control of your sound and a tight control of your lighting. Because especially when you have so much metal all over the place, you get weird bounce back. And so a very talented crew was involved in this. Not to mention, you know, the high priced cast that, you know, cost a pretty penny. And Henry Rollins, De Novo 28, Henry Rollins, you'll see him in, I believe it was Wrong Turn 2. Wrong Turn 2, and I think he did another one called He Never Died, where he plays this guy who can't be killed, and he's like seeking revenge and shit. So it's kind of a Crow rip, but not bad. It's not bad, you know. But it's Henry Rollins. I mean, you're going to get Henry Rollins is what you're going to get. He's not exactly one for nuanced performances, but he does his job here. You know, it's just a damn shame to see so much money in both casting and pre-production and production and principal photography with so little payoff. And then the end of that is kind of like a drop. It's just kind of like the third act, you get this big, you know, explosive sequence. And I saw that they were trying to emulate Event Horizon with the end of this, is where they were going, with Cuba Gooding Jr. kind of like taking the Larry Fishburne role and you know, opting to sacrifice himself, but then realizing that sacrificing himself would be a pointless endeavor. So that switches over to Valerie Cruz's character. And then he runs out, does the obligatory run away from explosion, and then get blown away, and then gets in a helicopter and says, now I'm a warrior for God. Duh, 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 and then flying off into the distance. I honestly blame that with the script itself, with the writer kind of painting it into a corner. There was no other way this could really end, you know, without it either being a depressing downer or really ultra like beyond the idea of Nephilim far-fetched, but just like, it's like that came out of nowhere, you know? So they kind of painted themselves into a corner with this one. And ultimately, Cuba Gooding Jr. is the only survivor, and he's the leader of the deal, and he goes on to succeed. I honestly wasn't expecting that. Maybe that was subverting the genre. I have no idea. I thought Jason London and I know her name, Yoshi, Stephanie Jacobson. I thought Stephanie Jacobson and Jason London were going to be the winners. We're going to be the ones that survived on that because they seemed the most grounded and the most human of the group. You know, the least detached and the least obsessive. So I thought that they were going to be the ones that make it. But yeah, alas, this it's not how it went down. But if you are a big fan of practical effects, which this movie uses a shit ton of, you know, whether it's pustules and like infection spreading across people and like them, you know, like vomiting gooey black shit to infect other people. Lots of, lots of firefighting, lots of squibs and blood and shit going everywhere. People getting fucked up and carved up. That whole sequence where Taryn Manning takes the knife to Yoshi's back, to Stephanie Jacobson's back, and completely opens her up. That was a grotesque sequence, really, really nasty, but very decent practical effects, very impressive. So I'll give them that. The money, they put the money where it was meant to be. You know, I just wish the script was a bit stronger and gave them something, gave these actors something to chew on, besides a kind of like, rehashing of every single military group goes into, military group gets tasked to go to X, do Y, and winds up, shit hitting the fan, which is pretty much the same story over and over again. But if you dig those little things, little like gross stuff like that, if you dig the practical effects, definitely check it out. It's I believe it's on Amazon right now. So, but yeah, give it a watch. It's not too bad. But one thing that got me, one thing I really another thing that stood out was the use of the Nephilim as a horror element. So obviously, using that, going that deep throughout the film, there's a lot of biblical references. There's even though, as someone who's very familiar with the stuff, they get some stuff wrong, and of course that's just for they add some things to those in order to kind of beef up the narrative, in order to kind of make it more compelling, or I guess more visceral. But Nephilim being used as bad guys is not a common thing utilized in horror films, although it's typically used in horror films, but it's not a common thing. There have been a few that have been utilized to that degree. So if you are familiar with them, let us know down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com, what you think the best Nephilim horror has been, the best Nephilim horror film, because there are a few out there that utilize them, like Jerusalem, which was a found footage film that we actually did talk about early, I think late last season. But there's several of them. So Gehenna, I think, is another one. But yeah, if you've seen any of them, apart from Devil's Tomb, let us know down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com, what you feel has been the best or is your favorite Nephilim horror film. If it follows the actual kind of like mythology of it, if it does it justice, or if it blows it completely out of proportion, turns the Nephilim into like giant fucking monsters and shit, whatever it is. There's a number of ways that you can portray them, but let us know, and don't really, and if maybe your favorite is Supernatural and you love Jack as the Nephilim, and that's your favorite Nephilim. Supernatural was a horror show, so you can say Supernatural as well. Left-Handed Jedi says, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. I'm pretty sure the shit in that container was Satan. I'm fairly certain. I think that was Satan. Could have been. Maybe I should go back and watch it again. Fucking love George C. Scott in that movie. It was fantastic. Fucking love it. Oh, was George C. Scott? No, it wasn't George C. Scott. Fucking no. I fucked it up. Shit. John Carpenter's actors, Damn it. Wow. I bollocks that, didn't I? I really did. Fucking 1987. So far away. Damn it. Yeah, Donald Pleasance. Shit. Donald Pleasance from fucking Halloween. Fucking Loomis. How did I screw that one up? Black Mass TV series. Very cool. Thank you, Omnioros Burrows. Do appreciate that. Darksiders did a good job of Nephilim. Absolutely. Yep. Apparently I've fallen and I can't get up. Apparently I've dropped the ball a couple times. Not as bad as last week. Last week I dropped the ball on fucking I dropped the ball on the trivia question super bad. Very embarrassing. I should not be allowed alone, in the studio. Oh, Javer says, isn't Charlie in Has Been Hotel technically a Nephilim? You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think so. Satan's her father. Mother was human. Think how it goes down. I believe she is. Probably why nobody screws with her. Or to the extent that she has, because, she has more power than she realizes. Aaron Reese says, Nephilim were basically just huge people. Not exactly original. Why did that remind me of Boondock Saints? Huge freaking guys. Look like they've been serial crushed by some huge freaking guys. All right, let's move on to our next one. We've got an intro. I love Mexican horror. This one was released May 30th, 1968. We're going all the way back. So, get ready to remember those hairstyles and the fashion sense of the 60s. We have Even the Wind is Afraid. This trailer is in Spanish. So heads up, because the film itself is in Spanish, while you can find it dubbed. But the film itself is in Spanish. But let's jump into this. It's the air horn messing with you. Stop using it. Yeah. Thank you, Raven. Appreciate that. So you're saying I should use it more to get myself back on track. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
Untie me. Untie me!
I'm gonna hide you under the water. We can't reach you there. We won't find you.
Jack, go and tell her you're gonna be together forever. Fucking crazy. Please, I really don't know what to do. Look, if I tell her she's not dead, that's not gonna make anything any better. It's worth a shot. She's going to eat me.
¿Qué tienes? Este es el lugar que yo soñé. Que quede bien entendido, doctor. En esta institución no hay privilegios para nadie.
Esa muchacha está al borde de una crisis nerviosa.
¿Es verdad eso? ¿Que van a quedarse aquí en las vacaciones? Sí, eso dijo. Es una injusticia. Estoy muy preocupada por ustedes. ¿Verdad que nos va a ayudar, señor? Lo que tengo es miedo. Un miedo terrible de que aquello volviera a suceder. Aquello fue una desgracia, un accidente. No es verdad.
Ooh, risque. For the 60s? Yes, that was the trailer for Even the Wind is Afraid. Original title was Hasta el Viento Tiene Miedo. It is a gothic supernatural horror film, written and directed by the legendary Carlos Enrique Taboada, and starring Marga Lopez, Maricruz Olivier, Alicia Bonet, and Norma Lazareno. The film follows a group of girls, 6 girls, who are currently enrolled at a Catholic boarding school, who, after one of them has a terrifying dream about a girl that may have, unalived herself, on the grounds. She has a terrible nightmare about that. Goes to investigate, and during the investigation gets her group of friends in trouble, and they wind up being held over during their holiday week. And they have to stay at the school. Everybody else is gone with their families, so they get stuck there. And while they are stuck there, the supernatural events begin to wrap up as the mystery begins to unravel, or the mystery begins to unfold as to what exactly happened on the grounds, and dark truths are revealed, and eventually, the secret that the headmistress has been keeping eventually comes out, and justice is eventually served. But this was a fascinating little film. Now, this is a little bit different. Now, obviously, 1968, the idea of what was horror then is going to be a little bit different than what horror now. Gothic supernatural horror, gothic horror is its own unique kind of subgenre. And I've always loved gothic horror because it relies as much upon ambiance and atmosphere, or the ambiance, sound, lighting, the atmosphere that it builds, the sets that it works in. It relies so much on those to convey as much about the story as the actors themselves and the story that's being told itself. So I've always loved that. And the work that goes into ensure that wherever we're shooting or how we're framing it or what sounds are heard, whether it be how the wind is utilized or the creaking of the stairs or creaking of a door or the slamming of a deadbolt or the stretching of a rope. These are all very, very important. And not to mention angles and lighting and how you're approaching different, like if you'll notice things like in the whole tower sequences, how the tower was shot from the exterior and from the interior, which I loved little nuanced things like that, because when the tower was always shot from the exterior to give the idea that it was a large structure, but when you're inside of it, the angles that were utilized made you feel almost like it was bigger than it was. That it was bigger on the inside than it was on the outside, which was a unique little thing that Taboada brought to it in order to convey the sense that the tower itself held a huge dark secret. And so it was like the inside of it was larger to make room for this great, horrible truth, while the outside of it was very innocuous. It was very innocuous. Plain brick, and then, of course, this one door with this one lock. And that's very simplistic, almost, I would say it fades into the background. If you're not looking for it, you might just walk right past it. But once you're inside, it's this, this cavernous mouth that kind of swallows you up with the spiral staircase setting up and all the boxes and cobwebs and everything. And there, and the look downwards from the top of the stairs down at the girls coming up. I loved little pieces like that. Not to mention, I will give top marks to all of the acting in this. I thought everyone was fantastic, particularly the headmistress, Bernarda. Marga Lopez was such. I don't want to. She was such a bitch, and she looked like she had such fun playing that role. And when your actor who's cast as the villain has that much fun, portraying the villain, that's going to bring so much more out of everybody else. So you get that alone right there. Even though everyone else is very, very talented, it draws so much more out of Mari Cruz, who was Lucia, the vice principal, who has details as to what happened with the previous girl with the ghost, and then Alicia Bonet and Norma Lazareno and Elizabeth Dupeyron as Josefina. Josefina was fantastic in this, and so the way it draws everything out of them as this kind of a unified hatred against her. And how as you get the feeling like everything is building up again. And I love that slow build, that slow burning gothic build that eventually someone's going to get their comeuppance. And it eventually comes down to Bernarda eventually does. And because what she did to the girl, what she did to Andrea, what she did, who was played by Pamela Susan Hall, what she did to Andrea was just atrocious, because that's just what, because she was just a pitch. And that's it really is a narrative trope that you don't see a lot of. And when you do, not today. When you do see it, it's often buried. It's a buried trope, but rarely do you see scripts nowadays that rely solely upon the idea of karma. Karmic justice, things coming round, people getting their just desserts, or people getting their comeuppance. It doesn't happen that often. Like a movie like the last one I can really say that really set on this was What Lies Beneath, with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer, where the ghost of the girl he killed comes back to basically tear apart his family, but tear apart his marriage, but eventually expose him for the monster that he is. And so that the idea of buried truths coming back and the karmic relationship between the people who buried them in the first place, you don't see that all that often. So that's why I love going back and watching movies from the 50s and the 60s and 70s where we didn't have to bury the lead so much and try to distract the audience with spectacle in order to get a message across, where we could rely solely upon practical effects, in-camera effects, and allow the cast and the space to really drive it. Now, you can tell that Taboada is an interesting character. Carlos Taboada, pretty much focused on supernatural and suspense films. And this one, Hasta el Viento Tiene Miedo, or even The Wind is Afraid, was one of his, if I remember correctly, was his third film, because he started directing in 1964, and this was his third film overall, and third film overall of a career that took him into the 80s. And the last movie that he ever did and I know many of you will know this, was Veneno para las Hadas, which was Poison for the Fairies. And Poison for the Fairies was fucking fantastic. Was a brilliant little film. And I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to talk about Even the Wind is Afraid, because Taboada was one of those directors who, at the time, I don't think was truly appreciated for what he was bringing to the genre. Not to mention 1968, not the greatest year. The 60s, not the greatest year for cinema in Mexico at the time. Given what was going on politically, what was going on economically during the 50s and the 60s in Mexico, not a fantastic place. The cinema wasn't a place where people went. It was a luxury that people just couldn't, just like weren't driven to. But people need that release. And Taboada is pretty much credited as the one director who revitalized the horror genre and the supernatural horror genre and the thriller genre in Mexico at the time. And you can tell, even though there was a lot of giallo pictures that were coming out of Italy, of course, this was, in the 1960s, of course, in the 50s and the 60s, post-World War II Italy was the massive influence in the kind of like resurrection of the horror genre post-World War II. And that influence splintered out to everywhere. It went to England, went to Germany, went to France, went to America, went to Canada, and it also went to Mexico. But Taboada did not go in the giallo route, where it was all like blades and knives and, like hidden faces and women screaming and shit like that. He wanted to go in a storytelling direction that kind of paid homage. Javier Hara says, stop butchering Spanish names. Did I butcher Spanish? I didn't think. Carlos Enrique Taboada. That's his name, right? Okay, well, I apologize. If I butchered a Spanish name, I do apologize. I could have sworn Hasta el viento tiene miedo. I pronounced that correct, didn't I? Oh, apparently I didn't. Okay, well, yeah, at least, yeah, thank you, Aaron Reese. Thank you, Aaron, says at least it's not Eugene saying them. I thought I was pronouncing them correctly. Hasta el viento tiene miedo, right? Hasta. You're killing me. You're killing me, okay? All right, I'll leave it at that. Yes, okay, I gotcha. Okay, that's fine. All right. Anyway, so you totally broke my concentration there, but I apologize for butchering any Spanish names. My bad. I am. Imagine Eugene saying these. Really? Imagine that. But anyway, Taboada was a fantastic director and is credited as being the director who revitalized the horror, thriller, and supernatural horror genre by utilizing elements I think that were important to Mexico, culturally to Mexico at the time, which was the influence of the Roman Catholic Church, the influence of the people in and of themselves, and the struggle between the common man and the authority at the time. That was kind of reflecting that movie kind of reflected what was going on. The idea of the oppressive authority and then people just trying to make their way. And I love that was conveyed in this. And I love that he stayed true to his roots and he didn't try to copy what was going on in Italy at the time with giallo directors, even though those were extremely popular. He kind of like took it in his own route. And that's why I think, because he kicked the ball, or he kind of like revitalized the genre, was why after the 60s, going through the 70s, we got a lot of deeply religious-inspired or religious overtoned horror films where either focused on Satanism or focused on people misinterpreting the Bible. And we got a spate of films like that focused on these aspects because the Roman, Catholicism was deeply influential throughout Mexico, is still deeply influential throughout Mexico. So I think Taboada should get more appreciation than I think he actually does. It's kind of like in Brazil, because there's that and I'm gonna try not to butcher his name, even though he's a Portuguese. Jose Mojica Marins, is it Marins or Marins? They're pretty sure it's Marins. Jose Mojica Marins, who created the character of Coffin Joe, and Jose and Marins is the one who kind of did the same thing Taboada did, but the differentiation being that with Mexico, predominantly it was Catholic influence that drove that. With Marins, it was more pagan influences that gave rise to that, with the kind of like influence of Caribbean I would say Caribbean voodoo style with the Catholic influences or Christian influences, which is where the idea of Coffin Joe came from, resurrecting the dead and bringing them back as your wives and doing all kinds of shit like that. So, but what Jose Mojica did for Brazilian horror, Taboada did for Mexican horror, and I think he is kind of an unsung hero as far as the horror genre goes. Now, if you didn't get a chance to watch Even the Wind is Afraid, there are copies of it out there. It is in Spanish and it is dubbed. It is on Tubi right now. It is currently dubbed. Definitely, if you get a chance, check out his last film, the last film that he ever did, which was Poison for the Fairies. Absolutely brilliant film. Fantastic acting. And is the last one that he went out on. And it was because that was the best. I think it was his best film. Then it kind of like people went back and reevaluated his career. It's like, who was this guy? Because at the time in 1984, when Poison for the Fairies came out, everybody's kind of like, who's this one guy who's actually been in the business for 20 years. And so he's got a fantastic filmography, did a ton of great writing, excellent films he directed. So definitely give his movies a shot if you get the opportunity. Aaron Reese says, JL rolls his R's like a stroke victim. Palsy-like. Thanks, Sir Little Wolf. Appreciate that. I'm just glad JL doesn't have to pronounce Gaelic names. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad. Well, I apologize. I'm going to get so much hate mail. I swear. I'm going to get so much hate mail. I have a strong U.S. American accent, JL. Yes, I do. I do. Even though I was born in California, raised in, I was like born in California, lived in Texas for 30 years. I do not believe I have a Texas accent. Although I can put on a Texas accent if I want to, but I don't think my vocal directors that I've worked with in the past have described me as described my dialect as non-regional as far as the United States goes. As far as the US goes, that I'm non-regional. Now, occasionally, if I'm, if I've been drinking, I can slip into kind of California, like Southern California, or I can slip into Texas because, I was around it for so long. But as far as American goes, I'm pretty non-regional. That's what I've been told by the professionals that I've worked with as far as being a voice actor. No, that's not true. So Angel Rivera says, yeah, not you, Angel. Says, wrote in the last name. That's not true. Says, you have what I was accused of, Californian accent. I don't have a Californian accent. I really don't. So, I think what it is that the vast majority of people that you hear from California that are being presented have non-regional accent or speaking non-regionally. And then that's being equated with California because Californians, you have that kind of like that kind of pacing in the way you talk. But I don't have that. So, and of course, if you want to do SNL, oh man, like, no, what are you doing here? I fucking love the Californians. Aaron Reese says, I was raised in Appalachia amidst hillbillies. It's no excuse. Yeah. Sir Cab says, I pick up accents like the common cold. Everywhere I go, I sound like a native in weeks. Nice. Surfer dude. Yep, surfer dudes. Oh, man. So, transatlantic is the term, I think. So, but I've been called non-regional myself. Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was going to kick up such a fuss. I apologize. I apologize if I butchered anybody's names, or any words particular. Obviously I'm not a native Spanish speaker. Lo siento. So, lo siento, mea culpa, like. All right, but that being said, of the films of Carlos Taboada, I would like to know if whichever ones you may have seen, if you've only gotten to see Even the Wind is Afraid, or you've only seen Poison for the Fairies, but if you've seen any of his films, I would like to know your thoughts. What is your favorite, or what do you feel is the best Carlos Taboada film? I want to show this director, even though he passed away some years ago. I want to show this director some love. I really do. I think he is one of the unsung Mexican directors, or unsung directors in horror. I really do. He's one of those names that was really important, but not a lot of people knew it, or were aware of him. So I would like to know. He passed away in 97. a while, some time ago. But let's show Taboada some love and let us know down in the comments below at weekinhorror@gmail.com what is your favorite or what you think is the best Carlos Taboada film. I should have had, if Johnny were here, this wouldn't have happened. If Johnny were, and look at that. Look at that. It would have been Johnny breaking this one down. He'd have been able to knock it out of the park. He's got a little Mexicano in him. I'm sorry, that sounded bad. But he does. Ortega. Ortega is his last name. So, L.I. that's more Australian. Penn, Fast Times in Ridgemont High. Gnarly, dude. Yeah. Fast Times in Ridgemont. It was funny because my mom actually went to the school that film was based on. It's wild. Little tidbit about me. Yeah. Sir Cab says, after 6 months in Tennessee, I spoke fluent NASCAR. Nice. Henry says, if Johnny were here, he'd just be making fun of you on screen. No, because Johnny would have been breaking down the film and saying all the Spanish names, and then I would have heard him and then just copied him to make sure I wasn't screwing it up. Look at the Letterkenny. Oh, Letterkenny. A lot of fun there. Yeah. Johnny's wife got a little Mexicano in it. Yes, she does. Oh, that's an image I'm not going to be able to get out of my head. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Extra J. I do appreciate that. So Little Wolf now wants to order a pizza. Fuck yes. That sounds good. All right. Let's move on to our next one let's move on to a decidedly American film so I don't butcher any more fucking names. Our next film up, released May 31st, 2005. And we have the horror film Devour. Terrible name for a film, but let's cue up the terror tube. It's not Taboada, it's more like Taboada. Okay. I heard it pronounced Taboada in an interview. That's where I got it. So, my bad. Let's check out this trailer.
You've been very naughty, Miss Carol.
Sir? Thinner.
A lot of people don't know. He was the dad in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
A real game.
Some games must never be played.
Welcome to the pathway.
I've never played this before.
Some lines must never be crossed.
You give it your phone numbers and stuff, then it calls you and gives you bizarre things to do.
What kind of bizarre things?
Some fears must never be faced.
Hello? Are you ready for another test?
Dude, what do you want now?
What have you and your friends gotten into? When we started, it was just a game that had the strange ability of knowing what we were thinking.
You say it's called the pathway?
Yes, why?
Because that's what we call the connection between the devil and the possessed.
So how did I resist?
There's a higher power looking out for you.
Do you think that the pathway has something to do with what Conrad did to himself?
Don't be afraid. It's time to play.
Devour on DVD.
I didn't have a choice. Neither of us do.
Yes, that was the trailer from Devour. That was the trailer for Devour, which, yes, an American horror film, directed by David Winkler, written by Adam Gross and Seth Gross, and of course starring Jensen Ackles of Supernatural and My Bloody Valentine remake fame, Shannon Sossamon, Dominique Swain, William Sadler, Teach Grant, Martin Cummins, Rob Stewart, and Wanda Cannon. So the film follows Jensen Ackles' character Jake, who's been having bizarre visions of murder and self-mutilation, just very, very weird. And then he gets drawn into playing a live, kind of like a live role-playing game, very, very similar to The Game that you remember with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn. So he gets drawn into it by a friend, and his life begins to come apart as dark truths about him are revealed, and his dark heritage is eventually revealed to him, because the pathway is more than just a game. It is a means for a certain individual to be found, namely the son of the devil. So, yeah, it gets kind of weird. Okay. Unfortunately, this is one of the, number one, the title itself is terrible. It never should have been called like that. They should have gotten the working title of the film when they were making it was called The Pathway, which I thought would have been a hell of a lot better. And Sir Cab says, hasn't there been like 40 of this movie? Yeah, there probably have been. Stay Alive, honestly, was better than this film was, because the game itself, like the whole like game interface like that is just, it's not even, it's tertiary to the plot. It's literally just a MacGuffin to kind of get the story going in a particular direction. It makes no point. So Little Wolf says, weird on this channel? Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into it. So, but Devour is a terrible film because that title makes no sense in the context of the film itself, because nobody's getting devoured. It's not a vampire film. It's not a cannibal film. It's literally just people being driven to basically, to do these tests, the people being tested and eventually wind up, icing themselves or like unaliving themselves because they can't cut it. And because the whole thing is a search to try and find one specific individual, which is Jensen Ackles' character, who is, I'm just going to spoil it, who is the son of the devil. The film's almost 20 years old. So we had all of Supernatural, the entire Supernatural run, since this movie came out. So, the game, the focus isn't even the game. It should have been honestly, there was the story in itself was inspired. I dug the concept of a group of, or a cult of devil worshippers utilizing a game, because one of the members of them is this guy who runs this game development company, and then using this game to find the wayward son, of the devil. I kind of dig that. I dug that. I dig that concept. That can go in a number of different directions. Unfortunately, what was an interesting concept winds up getting turned into a low-budget CW horror film, where we cast Jensen Ackles because, he's Smallville and shit like that. But we got Dominique Swain, who is, a very, very talented actress who unfortunately was pigeonholed as kind of like the trollop in every single, every film that she's always been in. And yes, I did a River Song, spoilers. So did he carry? Yes, he carried on. Yeah, thank you very much. So in that, yes, yeah, thank you very much. So they took an inspiring concept. I think an inspired concept, because obviously it drafts off the game, because it's a game that's affecting people in real life. But it came off very, very hackneyed. And just not, I think this may have been a budgetary issue, is my estimation, because there's not a lot of major set pieces that go into this. The entire film feels like transitional moments to get to two big moments. And that really throws the pace of the film off, because there's no real build. It's kind of like every moment is like, what? It's like you only need this moment to get to the next. You only need that moment to get to that. Like, you only need him out hunting so we can get to the cabin. You only need him out at the cabin so we can get to the nightmare. You only need the nightmare to establish that he has these bad dreams, and then so on and so forth to the first reveal of the monster in the movie. Okay, and then everything, then working through what happened to his friends, all transitional to get to the point where the big climax at the end. Where he has to make the choice to accept his role or reject the role. And so lowest common denominator, low amount of budget, not an opportunity, no real opportunity for people to kind of shine and people to really do something with this. Jensen Ackles is a surprisingly, Jensen Ackles is a very versatile actor. Okay. Given the work that he's gotten the opportunity to do, I don't think he's really Dean obviously was his best, has been his best and longest lasting role, and that was an opportunity for him to really flex his wings to show what he is capable of as an actor. I personally also love him as Soldier Boy in The Boys, because that's an opportunity for him to break away from the Dean image and really play, and really do some really, really fucked up shit. But Sir Cab says it's sometimes good enough to just say it sucked and move on. That's the problem, is that the film in itself, there are obviously worse ones out there, even though that bar is very, very low. Devour had moments that worked for it, and you can see what they were trying to do. The concept in and of itself is I was fascinated by. I was like, I love the premise. The premise was solid, but this is another example of, I believe, the studio, the people who were behind this, which at the time for 2005, given they were shooting on digital, was very, very cheap. The budget was low. This was put out by Sony. Sony wasn't doing much as far as putting out content that tried to push limits. That they were doing is they were establishing names that could be utilized in other IPs that they had their fingers in. So Sony would produce a movie and get some turn. This became a Jensen Ackles film, because Jensen Ackles just landed Supernatural. Supernatural was popping off. That was in 2005. It's already getting rave reviews. So he lands that. I believe he had this, and then he dropped this, and then Supernatural began, because Supernatural started in the winter of 2005. The winter of 2005, and so Devour dropped as a vehicle to push and capitalize on Jensen Ackles' draw, having been cast in Supernatural across from Jared Padalecki. So this is just a promotional piece, is really what it is, which is why it didn't get the amount of money that I felt a premise like that deserved, because they don't need to. They don't need to dump money on that deal. All they need is a vehicle to promote Jensen Ackles, because Jensen, at the time, Sony had their fingers in CW at the time, the WB. Oh no, it's the CW. Had their fingers in the CW at the time, and so Sony, Warner Brothers, CW, and then let's promote this deal and try to make a little bit of money off Jensen Ackles' name. Give him, another film under his belt, and then he'll get to do something, because one last film before he goes out and does that, and then shortly after, and then it was a few years after that, he did. I think in 2009 he did the My Bloody Valentine. Really, around the same time that Padalecki did House of Wax. So in that respect, I get why they made it, money-wise, marketing-wise. Why not do? I mean, that's how you do it. I mean, that's how you promote people. You put them in movies, put those movies on screens. People see that, then they immediately make the association. Jensen Ackles is forefront of my mind. You're more apt to see his name pop up, given that, especially in your certain demographic, being aware of Supernatural, that drives you to watch the show. Ratings go up, so on and so forth. It's just, that's just the name of the game. It just sucks that an interesting premise like that got the ball dropped, because there's nothing innovative in the film. No interesting camera stuff, no interesting, practical effects, nothing that really, jumps out a little bit too much in the After Effects department. The monster in itself was okay, but it was too dark. You can't really see any detail in it, which blows. So many missed opportunities. And they deserve better. Dominique Swain is a very talented actor. So is Shannon Sossamon. Shannon Sossamon is great. You look at Rules of Attraction, fucking Knight's Tale, movie that recently came out, Grim Cuddy. Shannon Sossamon is extremely talented. So is Jensen Ackles. So is Dominique Swain. All of them are very, very good. Nothing really to work with here. Just kind of like another movie, another paycheck to kind of put in your belt. Jensen Ackles gets his vehicle. It's pretty much it, which is a shame. I was kind of bummed. Dr. Nimrod has been a member of the Army of the Dead for 9 months. Thank you so much, Dr. Nimrod. We do appreciate that. Love seeing those milestone moments. Doing the slowdown signal to JL. The slowdown signal. I must have missed something. Frank, it's for 40 minutes. Oh, yeah, slow down. Yeah, to spend more time talking about the last one that we've got. I got you. I am the world's tallest dwarf. I am. I got my hammer. My hammer's up there, on display in the office. So, but yeah. that was kind of the pain. And you can imagine for the actors themselves that this is kind of a movie like this is kind of the pain of career establishment, of really getting things going, keeping your name relevant, is you kind of like jump on something that comes across. If you hadn't had one in a couple of years, you got to stay fresh, got to stay in people's minds. So you pick up a horror film that's got some moments, and that's pretty much it, which is what this thing falls to. Unfortunately, as you can see, Jensen Ackles had Supernatural to carry him from there. Shannon Sossamon, talented actress, obviously hitched her wagon to a number of projects that really kind of elevated her name. And so she's fantastic. Dominique Swain, unfortunately, not so much, because for Dominique, it was just a string. After Lolita, it was just a string of bad film after bad film after bad film. It almost felt very much like Lolita kind of derailed her, and she got saddled with this kind of image by Hollywood, and I feel like the industry kind of did to her what it did to Eliza Dushku. And I don't think she really had a chance, is my opinion on that. Because now the stuff you see her in, it's just, and Dominique Swain. She pops in, she's in there for a few minutes, and then she's usually out. If it's a horror film, she's usually dead really, really quick, because she's establishing, running off of the Scream trope of like Drew Barrymore coming in and then being dead in the first 10 minutes. So, it's fluff. Yeah, so the Wolf, you got it, fluff. Kind of a bummer. But here's the thing I wanted to ask y'all. The thing that got me the most curious about this one, because I love the premise. I think the premise has a lot of potential, especially nowadays with the advent of extremely detailed and in-depth MMOs, and the advent of virtual reality, okay? That it's real, Oculus and shit like that. Devour, the premise alone, just the premise, and we changed the name. Fuck the name. The name is fucking stupid. But look at that premise. A cult or like Satan worshipers or whatever is utilizing an online game that people can get hooked into to track down the wayward son of like the devil. Okay, cult is looking for the Antichrist or whatever like this, and they're using a game in order to do it. I think that has merit. So my question I think that has merit that could be done really well today, now that we're like almost 20 years past, 19 years later. So my curiosity is this. Is this movie, by virtue of the premise alone, do you think that Devour is worthy of a remake under a different title? Take the premise, run it somewhere, make it interesting. So, is it worthy of a remake, or is this another one for the pile? Let us know down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com, if you think that this is one where the premise could be salvaged and made into a better. Is this one of those movies that was bad enough that was bad, and that's a one that should be remade because it could be remade so much better? Let us know down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Love to hear your thoughts on that. See, I dug the premise. I really did. And definitely changed the name. Absolutely changed the name. God, the name was, I was like, why is it called Devour? It makes no fucking sense. Like, why? It's like nothing in the film references that title name. It's goofy. When you see it, you see Devour. That's the name of the game, the name of the film. And then you see the poster. It's like Jensen, Shannon. It's like just like Jensen, Shannon, Dominique, all like looking all like and it's all red. It's like the whole thing is red. And you just see them in red, like there's like, oh, this is like a vampire film or a cannibal film. Okay, let me check this out. It wasn't at all. Completely misleading. So, yeah. Tang Whistle says, hard pass on yet another Antichrist movie. Keep the game, keep the cult evil organization, but change what they're searching for. Ditch the Christian vibes completely, in my opinion. Interesting. Oh, so Little Wolf says, devours brain cells. This is true. Tony Receipts says, not a remake, but a decent treatment of the premise. Okay. I can see that. Definitely. But let us know down in the comments below. Love to hear what you guys think. Remember, those interactions help with the algorithm. They really do. All right. Let's jump on to our last one for the night. Released June 1st, 1990. I know y'all been waiting for it. We have the cult classic Frankenhooker. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube. I miss Aaron saying that.
Do it, General.
You're insane. I won't.
Do it! Put your hand on the scanning screen and you'll go down in history with me.
As what? The world's greatest mass murderers?
You cowardly bastard!
The goat of Mentis.
Yes. This movie's fucking amazing.
Devil himself.
Run. Find cover. Don't look back. Run!
In 1931, the world was horrified by the motion picture Frankenstein. In 1935, horror turned to terror with The Bride of Frankenstein. In 1990, the makers of Basket Case and Brain Damage bring you...
Want a date?
Frankenhooker. Jeffrey Franken has a plan.
I just want to bring you back, Elizabeth.
He has the ingenuity.
I need female body parts.
He has everything he needs, except the raw materials.
Just hold still.
I love that whole sequence. It's great.
Bunyan!
Wow! Jeffrey's creation is alive.
Looking for some action?
Oh, yeah.
She's sexy.
Got any money?
I'm on my way home, but thanks anyway.
And she's sutured to please.
Listen, I'm looking for a very tall, attractive woman. She's purple. She's got fresh scars on her. She's in the bar!
Now, a motion picture like no other. A tender story of love and romance.
Want a date?
A gripping tale of lust and revenge. Frankenhooker.
Incredible.
Some assembly may be required.
Yes, that was the trailer for Frankenhooker. Fucking amazing film. So, Frankenhooker, directed by Frank Henenlotter, written by Robert Bob Martin and Frank Henenlotter as well, and starring James Lawrence, Patty Mullen, Joanne Ritchie, Paul Felix Montez, Joseph Gonzalez, and J.J. Clark. The film follows our hero, Jeffrey Franken, who's a young man living in New Jersey who works at a power plant and is an kind of like unrecognized medical freaking genius. And so he's kind of like, lack of ambition or whatever, but he plays around with, revitalizing body parts and, doing weird medical experiments and shit. And unfortunately, during a birthday party for his fiance's father, she winds up dying in a freak lawnmower accident with a lawnmower that looks suspiciously like the one from Lawnmower Man. She gets chewed up. Obviously, he saves some parts and he has every intention of bringing her back, but he needs the material. So he goes on an adventure to resurrect his dead fiance, and shit definitely gets, hilarious from there. The movie is fucking phenomenal. I gotta say this. Every single ounce of this film Frankenhooker is an undisputed golden classic. And arguably, I would think my favorite of all of Henenlotter's works. Basket Case itself is fantastic. I love that trilogy. Even though I felt I felt it kind of petered out after the second one, they kind of pushed it. I thought Frank pushed a little too hard in the third one, but Basket Case is fantastic. All of the tropes that Henenlotter loves to work with, the seedy side of New Jersey, the seedy side of New York, constant references to like areas of the tunnel, of being beyond the tunnel. The fact that I love those moments where he's like, I just beyond the tunnel on the left. There are so many moments that New York and New Jersey natives will pick up on that I absolutely love. Those kind of like little like tidbits that he throws in there for native New Yorkers and native New Jerseyans. So I love those moments. I love his writing. And not to mention, the film itself is just, profoundly well acted. And I'm going to give in, while James Lawrence is fantastic as Jeffrey Franken, nailing the New Jersey accent and the complete New Jersey kind of like stereotype, while simultaneously being a super genius when it comes to bioelectric, revivification and shit like that. The guy is, just next level bonkers brilliant. And I got to give his performance top marks. He was this movie would not have worked if it had not been for the efforts of Lawrence and Patty Mullen. But Patty Mullen is the one who, in my opinion, is just like, she obviously, it's Frankenhooker. The story is hers, but this thing could have fallen apart if all the little details had not been there. The thing that separates, I think, the thing that really could have killed it is if the little pieces of the little, I guess, tidbits of humanity that are still within her were not showing off, did not come through in the performance. It could have come off very much as like, she could have definitely played this off as like the kind of like, malfunctioning automaton, the steel like this, and very robotic in the sense. But there is a humanity to her when she's in the mixed up hooker guys, and she's in her original, when she finally kind of established herself as well. But she brings a level of realism and humanity to it that I don't think a lot of people expect. Patty Mullen is fantastic in this, and I am shocked that her career did not get the opportunity. She never got the opportunities that she deserves as far as an actress goes, because she brought a level of nuance that you don't normally get. I would say on par with Basket Case and what if I can remember his name, because I'm totally off my game at that moment. Fucking Kevin Van Hentenryck. Kevin Van Hentenryck brought a level of humanity to the character of Dwayne in Basket Case that really grounded that film, given the fact that he was operating across from a gloppy, goopy puppet that was just like blah, the character of Belial. And that's what makes that film work, is how grounded, nuanced, and human, and the realism of his performance playing across from that. Patty Mullen is able to do the same thing even better by portraying Elizabeth in the most human way possible, despite the fact that she is an amalgamation of body parts. The practical effects are really, really solid. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love especially the way when she's banging people and they electrify and explode. But yeah, the face twitches, sort of Little Wolf. The face twitches look fantastic in that, and how she moves in between malfunctioning, because obviously she's Kevin Van what's it. So that's Kevin Van Hentenryck. Kevin Van Hentenryck played Dwayne Bradley in Basket Case series. Kevin Van Hentenryck. I just want to make sure that I remembered his name correctly. So another big thing that I think is important about it, you get the performance of Patty, and she deserved way more after this. Unfortunately, it was her. I firmly believe this was 1990. Her past as a penthouse playmate, that kind of got in her way. As adult stars are gonna can derail you. Unfortunately, she's phenomenal in this. Okay, I think her career kind of despite how good she was, very similar to Cronenberg's film Rabid in 1977, I do believe. Yeah, Rabid in 1977, when he cast Marilyn Chambers in that film. She was fantastic, Marilyn was great, and unfortunately, despite how good she was, she never really got to take off. Her career never really took off because of her background, which is a fucking shame. It's a goddamn shame, because uber talented. So was Patty as well. Now, butchered the pronunciation of the German name. No, I didn't. Unless it was when. No. I have heard Kevin's name pronounced in many an interview. Kevin Van Hentenryck. And I don't believe that's German. I believe that's Dutch, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's Dutch. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking German is in jail. I think I think Kevin is Dutch, but I'm not even going to go. This is pointless. I'm not even going to go there. So, here's the thing that got me. As good as Frankenhooker is phenomenal. Practical effects are great. Henenlotter's direction on point. all the little cast of, seedy, creepy, awesome, goofy, funny characters, lovable characters in there. Obviously, like fucking Zorro, the pimp is just fantastic. All of it is great. The exploding hooker scene after the super crack is all fantastic. So, Left-Handed Jedi, I swear. Anyway, the film itself is rooted in a story that I know probably a lot of you are familiar with the story Pygmalion. Pygmalion, which was the inspiration for My Fair Lady. The idea of remaking a woman into the ideal version of her, and then through that process, she's discovering her independence, and then rejecting that which she's been made into, or rejecting the designs of the person who ostensibly made her. That idea. The story of the modern Prometheus, I think juxtaposes brilliantly with the idea of Pygmalion. The idea of remaking the woman that you had into the ideal version, because that's ostensibly what Franken is doing. Is that they make a big point they make a big point in the opening of the film of Patty, or of Elizabeth's weight being problematic. She's a compulsive eater. She looks her way, but Jeffrey loves her, so she's not worried about it. She does whatever she can, but that's pretty much it. But then when she dies, Jeffrey immediately focuses on giving her the perfect body. The whole sequence throughout in the apartment, or in the little no-tell hotel room, where he's measuring them and doing his little tests, everything to find that each hooker has each call girl has a perfect item on them. So in that sense, we see that even though it's not really hard, I don't think they play more into the comedy and Patty's performance than they do that. But the inspiration is there, because he is remaking her into his ideal version of what Elizabeth could be, keeping only her head, changing her body. Now you can be what I want you to be, and you'll be alive again, no matter what it takes. That's Pygmalion. Okay, with more of a focus on the Prometheus, the modern Prometheus aspect of it. And that works extraordinarily well. And I thought was fantastic. I really, really do. I thought that Henenlotter balanced that classic story, I believe, from Oscar Wilde. He took that classic story from Oscar Wilde that was redone as My Fair Lady, and has been redone number one, like Spy Kills is another one that was done as well. And then took it in a direction that is pure him. And it works. It's brilliant, okay? Because he's got the cast, he's got the direction, he's got the effects. Everybody knows it. It's a fantastic movie. It's also the reason why Poor Things doesn't work, okay? This may be an unpopular opinion. I was not impressed by Poor Things. I love Mark Ruffalo. I love Emma Stone. I think they're phenomenal actors. Phenomenal talent across the board. Okay, I was not impressed by that movie, and I've ever since I saw that film, I have constantly pointed that Poor Things is just Frankenhooker for film snobs. That's all that is. If you look at Poor Things and the beats that it drops from point to point to point, okay, there's a lot of filler in that, because the focus in Poor Things is less on the Prometheus side, and more on the development of her independence, okay, and becoming who she is and who she will be at the end, and eventually rejecting the yoke that is put upon her and establishing her own future. That's the focus of that movie, okay. That movie focuses more on the Pygmalion side and less on the Prometheus side. The Prometheus aspect is what makes the story entertaining, because it's a combination of Bride of Frankenstein and Pygmalion. That's the important part. The problem is that Poor Things glommed onto the Prometheus story, onto the Frankenstein aspect, just basically used that as a jump point for what ostensibly was Pygmalion or My Fair Lady. And I wasn't impressed, with a lot more sex. Okay, let's make sure we get the sex in there as much as possible, because we want to be avant-garde in that respect. Let's make sure we have these elaborate and almost surrealistic set pieces, so that we can really express these things, really make it look like an art film. It doesn't need to be an art film. That story's already been told. As you can tell, I mean, I'll be honest. I did not like Poor Things was well acted and it was fairly well written. I did not like it because that story has been told and they told it in the wrong way. This is my stance on it. That even though it's Frank Henenlotter, it's schlock, it's B-horror. Fuck that. That's irrelevant. Okay, and a lot of people, some people out there may fall down on the fact that it is schlock and it's irrelevant. You know, it's like it's B-horror. It's Frank Henenlotter. The fucker did Basket Case and shit like that. That's irrelevant. The story is what is important. The inspiration behind the script is what is important, and the fact that someone came along and had whatever name they had and was able to procure a shit ton of fucking foreign money to basically retell a story but shift the focus of the film just a little bit in order to give certain actors an opportunity to break out and do something new, like Emma Stone to do a role like that. Literally, I found it to be pointless. And maybe it's my bias that I love the horror genre so much, that I love Henenlotter's work, that I love what he brought to the genre, that I love how he tells stories, that I love that when you dig down to the foundations of the stories he's telling, that those stories are deeply rooted in classic literature. Okay? Even Basket Case has its roots in classic literature. The classic tale of brother against brother, brother against the world until driven apart, by one thing they both want, but they fundamentally cannot approach the same. Dwayne and Belial are both, they're twins, but they're fundamentally different in their respect, and they're trying to force their relationship winds up destroying everything around them. And so eventually, when they come to a head and they break apart, they then turn on one another. Okay, because it's all they can do, because they have to acknowledge the reality of the situation, that one of them can live a life and the other one cannot. So that's a tale as old as time, brother against brother. Okay, that has informed everything going all the way back to freaking Cain and Abel. All right, so in that respect, I like what Henenlotter does. I see what Henenlotter is doing, where he's taking his inspiration from, how he is taking these ancient tropes that have informed our storytelling and is telling them in new, weird, and told them in new, weird, and exciting ways. That shit is great. Even Bad Biology has has its roots there as well, which is essentially any story that is the the unstoppable force, meaning the immovable object, and what happens, especially societally speaking, or in a context of interrelationships, or interpersonal relationships. What happens there is brilliant shit. Poor Things, I think, distracts from that. Poor Things is just all spectacle, all filler, no substance whatsoever, because it's already trying to do in an artsy, fancy way what someone already did much more intelligently, and that is a hill I will die on. I will. Okay. Now I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that. I had kind of like a rant going there, and I know that Aaron and Eugene and Johnny may have their own opinions on that as well. I kind of wish one of them was here, because I'd love to bounce something off like that. But that's the kicker. That's the kicker for me, is that Poor Things made Frankenhooker all that much better and made it stand out all the more. So if you didn't get an opportunity to see this film, it's on Tubi right now, so you can go watch it for free, which is no excuse for you to having not seen it. But if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. As a matter of fact, if you want to see if you want to kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about, watch them back to back. Watch Frankenhooker, then watch Poor Things. Okay? And you may see what I see. Maybe you won't. Maybe it's my opinion. Maybe it's just simply my opinion there. Maybe I'm biased towards the Henenlotter's work, but I honestly believe that I see it for what it is. I really do. And it didn't sit well with me in that respect. Even though I dig art films, I'm a Terrence Malick fan. I like, shit. I like, fucking Werner Herzog, I like his stuff, but yeah, it didn't sit well with me. It really didn't. So, but yeah. So my question here is, given where Frankenhooker succeeds, given the strength of that film, the kind of underlying lovable energy of that film, that's just, I think, just it just captures people. It's a blast. It's fun. It's goofy. It has funny practical effects. No one drops the ball, and it has. Oh, and I fucking love the fact it has that perfect kind of Tales from the Crypt ending. We didn't need fucking long exposition at the end. We just need that Tales from the Crypt moment. They kind of like, oh, it's like now we can be together forever. Oh no, oh, and he has the body of all body as female parts for his body. It's just fucking brilliant, man. Because 1990, Tales from the Crypt was on HBO. Outer Limits, shit like that. I fucking love that. I fucking love that it had that just kind of like that Tales from the Crypt ending. It's like, but you left really good notes, so I took care of you. This is great. Because, Zorro comes and lops his fucking head off and shit. This is great. But yeah, where Frankenhooker succeeds and Poor Things fails, shit like that. But here's my question. Is Frankenhooker one of those classics that is perfect as is? Or could it be remade in keeping with Henenlotter's vision? Okay, not that Yorgos shit that came out. Not that Yorgos film, no. But is it perfect the way it is? Don't touch it. Leave it alone. A modern cult classic. Or a 1990s, a 90s cult classic. Leave it where it's at. Or could it be redone? 2024, could you even recapture that kind of magic today? It's kind of like trying to recapture the magic of Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, or the Last Unicorn or or the Storyteller and shit like that. Never Ending Story, Princess Bride. I honestly don't think you could. I don't think you could. Ooh, Rodin Last Name brings up maybe a well-written sequel, Frankenhooker 2. Huh. Maybe maybe it could be, Henenlotter could do that. He could. He's getting up there. He's getting up there in age. Maybe. I don't know. Possible. I think it could be good. But yeah, Lieutenant Jedi says leave it alone. Lightning in a bottle. True. I for one think it's perfect. I really do. I think it's perfect the way it is. It should not be fucked with. Patty's performance, I do not think could be outdone. Patty is absolutely amazing. I loved her in this. Patty Mullen deserves way more credit than I think she got. JL speaks blasphemy. Don't speak an evil like that into existence. No, I think just don't touch it. Leave it alone. Patty and James were amazing. Joseph Gonzalez was fantastic in that. All the little bits and pieces made that film work perfectly. And I don't think it could be recaptured. I really don't. So Travis Preston, I think the only person that makes fun of woke is Lloyd Kaufman. Yeah, with Johnny O as the super pimp. Johnny O is super pimp. Frankenhooker 2, the hookening. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. So let us know down in the comments below at weekinhorror@gmail.com your thoughts. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Classic where it's at. Don't try to remake it. It's brilliant where it belongs. Or remake, sequel, Henenlotter, Frankenhooker 2, maybe. Let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com your thoughts on that. I'm very, very curious. So, God, such a good fucking movie. You haven't had an opportunity. Like I said, it's free on Tubi. Go watch Frankenhooker, free on Tubi. And you can go see what we're talking about. The dark Frankenhooker universe. I fucking love it. I love it. Wrote in last name. I do. All right. So, that was the last film that we have tonight. So, you know what time it is. It's trivia time. That's right. It is trivia time. Everybody's favorite time of the night. Be the first person in the live chat to get the correct answer to this trivia question. I've got the live chat up right now. So be the first person with the correct answer, and you will win a special item from the Week in Horror store. What is this? Along with Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. Oh, yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde. Javier Hara says, Week in Horror Jail is jealous of Mark Ruffalo since 13 going on 30. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, ha, ha. Anyway, yes, it is trivia time. So, like I said, first person to get the correct answer to this trivia question gets a special item for the Week in Horror store. If you want to check out what we've got there, we got all kinds of cool shit. The link is in the description. But here we go. Get your Google fingers ready. Jensen Ackles has played many parts, but his greatest is arguably that of Dean Winchester. How many episodes has Jensen portrayed Dean in total? How many episodes has Jensen Ackles portrayed Dean in total? Be the first person with the correct answer in the live chat. You win yourself a special item from the Weekend Horror Store. And make sure, all you previous winners, make sure you're putting up your photos on Discord so people can see your swag. We have a Show Your Swag channel in the Discord. So let us know, okay? Love to see those in action. Well, the numbers are rolling in. Omnisports, nope. Greater than 93. Travis Brown, 327. Nope, not 327. Sir Little Wolf says 586. Nope. Tony James says 248. So many more. 42. Raven Darkster says 42. Always. It is the answer to life, but not the answer to tonight's trivia question. So, come on. How many episodes has Jensen portrayed Dean in total? The hint is in the question. How many episodes has Jensen portrayed Dean in total? Think about what I'm not saying and think about what I am saying. Okay? A little bit of a trick question in there. Okay? Do some work. That's the whole point. That's what Little Wolf says. All of them. I'll take it as the second best possible answer. People are getting close. They are. I see the 327 popping up a bunch. I do. But how many episodes has Jensen Ackles portrayed Dean Winchester in total? How many has he portrayed Dean Winchester in total? How many episodes? I know someone's going to have that answer. They're going to figure it out. Come on. Come on. Oh, now people are doing the work. Now I think they're doing the work. Tony is 326. Nope. So it's 333. Nope. Nope. I can tell you, a couple of you gotten close. A couple of you have gotten close. J-Verse is on the right track. J-Verse is on the right track, but I'm not giving it away. Tony Regime says 328. Nope, not 328. Y'all are getting closer. You are getting closer. Travis Brown, nope, not 329. DeNova, not 340, but you are close, sir. You are very, very close, DeNova. You're very close, but not 340. So close. So close. Extra J says 11s. 11 episodes. Come on. Oh, Tangle says, wait, there was a prequel? Yes, there was a prequel. There was a prequel series. There's 1 million episodes. Down a little bit. Sir Little Wolf. Oh, Tang Whistle said 340. Boom! Tang Whistle got it. 340. I know you're guessing at that point. It was 342. Yes. Congratulations, Tang Whistle. Well done. So Tang Whistle, 342. The number of episodes that Jensen Ackles portrayed Dean Winchester. Doesn't matter though Dean Winchester was possessed by someone. It was still Dean's body. But the number of episodes total that Jensen Ackles portrayed Dean Winchester was 342. And that included the entire run of Supernatural, the animated series, and the Winchesters. 342 total episodes that he has portrayed Dean Winchester. So yeah, forcing it, absolutely. Yes, it played where he portrays Dean, the character Dean Winchester. So that he is credited as Dean Winchester in those episodes. Those are the number of episodes that he portrayed that. Because a lot of people forget there were 2 episodes of the animated series that were released. So that only got 2 episodes. So that's the 2. All right, because there was 13 in the Winchesters, 2 in the animated series, and all the rest were in original Supernatural. So, congratulations, Tang Whistle. Left-handed Jedi got it first. Let me see. Where's it at? Oh, did I fuck it up again? I did. Son of a bitch. I'm gonna have to edit that out and make myself look good. So, but apparently, Tony Regime has let me know. Good to see you, Tony Regime. Thank you so much for keeping me accountable. Tony Regime, yes. Apparently, Left-Handed Jedi got it first, and I missed it because it was scrolling by so fast. People were dropping numbers left and right, but I went back and found it. Apparently, Left-Handed Jedi did drop it first. Let me see here. What was it? Left-Handed Jedi, 342. It was after 11. And I saw Tony Regime's 346. My bad. And then after that, then Tang came up with 342. So Left-Handed Jedi actually got it. Oh, wait. Left-Handed Jedi says, give my gift to Tang Whistle. So Tang, it looks like you have one. No. I went back and found it. Tony Regime pointed out, or maybe Sarcasm pointed out. Tony Regime pointed out, but yes. Stop using the air horn. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Tang Whistle, I've got your name down. We will get that printed and shipped to you ASAP. Congratulations, and thank you very much, Left-Handed Jedi. Very, very generous of you. Travis Brown says, gee, is JL getting so tired of doing solo shows that he's making mistakes like this? Maybe I am. This shit is exhausting, I can tell you that. Cindy Sue says, shaking my damn head. Good to see you. Good to see you, Cindy. I tell you, man, this shit is tiring. It really does. Getting all this prep to go and keeping this energy up. No wonder I'm fucking up fast, picking up steam. That's 2 mistakes in a row. I promise you. I promise you. I don't even know what I was going to say. I'm too fucking tired. What was I going to say? Yeah, okay. Okay. I won't make any more mistakes again. I'm going to try. I'm going to do my fucking best. I'm going to do my damn best to not make any more mistakes again. I promise I will. Raven says, stop drinking Monsters well. That's probably never going to happen either. Probably never going to happen. I do have a writer. I have the script right here. I really do. Anyway, congratulations, Tang Whistle. Thank you very much, Left-Handed Jedi, for the generosity. Tang Whistle, we will get that. Just, can I give up my gift in exchange for never using the air horn again? Unfortunately, no. Blast the air horn again and we'll bring it back to you. Probably. All right. Well, that Horror Fiends is going to conclude this episode of the Week in Horror podcast. Mercifully conclude this episode of the Week in Horror podcast. So let's go ahead and hit this outro music. Fucking hell. I want to thank you for like and subscribe button. Be sure to hit that bell so you never miss a future episode. I will do my best not to fuck up any more trivia questions in the future, but I can't make any guarantees. Join us next week when we look back at Matrimonial Murder Fest, Hatchet for the Honeymoon, the schlock slasher horror, The Evil Maker, 80s college campus carnage, and Final Exam, and the campy monster horror Tomb of the Werewolf. Be sure to check out Josh Olsen's store at badsamurai.store. He does all the awesome artwork you see splattered all over our merchandise, which you can find over at Teespring. And for more from Week in Horror, check out all the bloody links in the description. Follow us on the socials for the Daily Splatter. Join our Discord for watch parties, big announcements, all kinds of horror shenanigans. And support the show through the channel memberships here, Super Chats, PayPal, or even through our Patreon, which you can support us there for $1, as little as $1 a month. So what are you waiting for? Join us, as they say in the Evil Dead franchise. As always, thank each and every single one of you for putting up with my bullshit, with my nonsense, with my fucking up trivia questions, and being the greatest horror podcast audience, the greatest audience that a horror podcast could ever had. I know I can somewhere. We love you all so much. I am JL. We'll see you all next week, and as always, stay scared. I gotta get some sleep. I really do.